When God sets his eyes upon you, the world will no longer understand you. People will leave, doors will close, and silence will surround you. But in that silence, heaven begins to speak. You will wonder why familiar hands no longer hold you, why hearts once close to you grow cold. But listen, this is not loss. This is divine movement. When God chooses a woman for himself, he first detaches her from the noise of her surroundings, so she can hear the rhythm of his purpose. You are not being abandoned, you are being aligned. The woman who is chosen cannot remain entangled with what limits her. There comes a divine disconnection, where your spirit begins to hunger for something higher, something purer, something eternal. This is the Spirit of God calling you away from emotional dependencies, away from people who cannot see your value, and away from places where your spirit can no longer breathe. When you are chosen, God will begin to guard your emotions. You will notice you no longer react the same way. Things that once broke you will no longer move you. This is not hardness, it is holiness. The Spirit of God is teaching you emotional detachment because what is coming requires stability. No BPR sentiment. He is preparing you to stand where others fell, to believe when others doubted, and to move when others froze in fear. Do not confuse detachment with isolation. Detachment is not rejection of love. It is the refinement of love. It is when you love from a healed heart, not a wounded one. You will still care, but you will no longer crave validation. You will still serve, but you will not seek applause. You will still give, but your giving will be guided by wisdom, not by need. This is how heaven protects a chosen woman, by teaching her to hold everything loosely, except for God. Every chosen woman passes through a season of divine emptiness. God will strip away what distracts you from him. Friendships will fade, plans will crumble, and what once defined you will no longer satisfy you. But this emptiness is sacred. It is the womb of transformation. God removes everything temporary, so he can fill you with what is eternal. You will cry at night, wondering why you feel unseen. But in the Spirit, you are being reborn. The oil is forming, the anointing is pressing, the promise is near. And when that transformation completes, everything changes. Suddenly, the same voices that doubt and are read, you will witness the glory upon you. The same situations that crushed you will become testimonies through you. You will walk into rooms carrying peace that cannot be explained, strength that cannot be shaken, and wisdom that cannot be taught. This is what happens when you have been chosen and protected by God. Understand this. When God chooses a woman, he also covers her. No matter who rises against her, she cannot be destroyed. Weapons may form, but they cannot prosper. Words may wound, but they cannot define. Delay may come, but destiny cannot be denied. Every battle you survived was not a punishment. It was a prophecy that you are guarded by heaven itself. And now, God is calling you higher. The same Spirit that once comforted you in weakness is now commanding you to rise in strength. You are no longer the woman who needs saving, you are the woman through whom God will save others. Why our detachment from the world has become your attachment to heaven. You no longer chase because what is yours will be drawn to your light. You no longer fear because what is ahead of you is greater than what is behind you. Listen closely. When you are chosen, everything changes. Your voice carries we be our it. Your words carry healing. Your presence shifts the atmosphere. You become an instrument through which God speaks, moves, and restores. That is why you were set apart. That is why you had to walk alone. That is why you had to feel the sting of separation, so you could learn that God alone is inoperant. So today, lift your head. You are not forgotten, you are favored. The fire that tried to consume you was the same fire that refined you. Every tear you cried became a seed in the soil of your calling. And now heaven whispers, you are chosen, you are protected, and everything, yes, everything is about to change. When God chooses you, the first sign is not applause, it is separation. Divine separation always comes before divine elevation. Many pray for new seasons but resist the very process that ushers them in. When heaven selects you for a higher dimension, it will begin to remove the weight precedes that are not meant to rise with you. Sometimes weights are people, sometimes habits, and sometimes the version of yourself that no longer fits the calling within you. Separation feels like rejection, but it is the silent preparation of destiny. It is God's way of taking you off the stage of distraction and placing you in the workshop of transformation. There comes a time when everything familiar starts to shift. The conversations that once thrilled you begin to feel empty. The company you once craved now drains you. The paths you once walked now seem too small for your spirit. You beg pardon to sense that your environment no longer matches your evolution. That discomfort is not random, it is sacred. God is turning your restlessness into revelation. The unease in your spirit is heaven's announcement that you have outgrown the season you are in. Do not try to force yourself back into what God has already called you out of. When divine separation begins, the human heart often resists. It wants to hold on to what feels safe, even if it is small. But God loves you too much to let you settle for survival when He designed you for significance. So He begins to remove the scaffolding around your soul. He allows certain friendships to fade, certain plans to fail, and certain doors to close, not because He is punishing you, but because He is protecting what He placed within you. If everything and everyone could stay, you would never discover the strength of standing alone with God. Separation is where dependence on people ends and revelation of divine sufficiency begins. You will notice that in this phase, silence becomes your companion. Heaven goes quiet, friends become distant, and life feels suspended. Yet this stillness is where heaven begins to shape identity. In the solitude of divine separation, your roots go deep. The noise that once clouded your discernment fades away, and you begin to hear the whisper of God's voice. He begins to redefine you, not based on your past, your mistakes, or your surroundings, but based on His eternal intention for you. It is here that the chosen discover who they truly are. It is in the wilderness that the chosen learn to walk by faith and not by sight. The human eye sees separation as loss, but the spiritual eye sees it as pruning. A tree that bears fruit must be pruned so it can bear even more. Likewise, when God sees fruit in your life, He cuts away what is unnecessary, not because you did something wrong, but because you are ready for more. He cannot pour new wine into old wineskins. The process hurts because it detaches you from what once supported you, but it also creates space for what will sustain you. Every divine separation carries within it a divine invitation to rise higher, to think deeper, to walk stronger, and to love wiser. You must understand this: when you are chosen, not everyone can go with you. Destiny has a price, and that price is often companionship. God will isolate you not to break you, but to build you. He will take away human affirmation, so that His voice becomes your only validation. He will strip away dependence on external strength, so you can learn to draw from His Spirit within you. And when you come through this season, you will carry an authority that no crowd can give, and no critic see and take away. The woman who has been separated by God walks differently. Her peace no longer depends on people. Her confidence no longer rests on compliments. She carries herself with quiet power because she has been forged in the fire of divine solitude. She knows what it means to be unseen yet sen, hidden yet handpicked, tested yet trusted. And that inner knowing becomes her protection. When others chase acceptance, she chases alignment. When others seek validation, she seeks revelation. That is the beauty of divine separation. It doesn't make you arrogant, it makes you anchored. So when you find yourself in a season where people no longer understand you, where familiar places no longer satisfy you, and where everything that once felt secure seems to be shifting, pause and thank God. It means heaven is moving. It means destiny is unfolding. It means you are being prepared for something greater than what you can presently see. Every chosen one must pass through the valley of divine separation before they reach the mountain of divine manifestation. It is the sacred journey from dependence to dominion, from confusion to clarity, from being chosen to being commissioned. And when you finally emerge from that process, you will realize it was never rejection, it was redirection. It was never punishment. It was positioning. It was never loss. It was launch. The separation was God's signature, marking you for something that could only be birthed through solitude. The separation was His way of saying, you are mine, and I am preparing you for more. And when you walk out of that season, you will no longer chase what you once desired. You will attract what God designed. You will no longer seek belonging, you will stand in becoming. That is the power and the purpose of divine SNBR operation. Emotional detachment is not the absence of feeling, it is the mastery of it. It is the sacred art of governing your emotions instead of being governed by them. When a woman is chosen by God, one of the first signs is the transformation of her emotional landscape. She begins to respond differently to the same situations that once controlled her. What used to disturb her peace now becomes an opportunity to demonstrate her spiritual maturity. This is not coldness, it is consecration. It is the Spirit of God taking authority over the realm of the soul. Because to be chosen is to be trusted with influence. And influence cannot flow through one who is easily shaken by emotion. When God begins to train your emotions, He is preparing you for greater responsibilities. He starts to reveal that not every feeling deserves a reaction. You will feel misunderstood, rejected, overlooked, but Evan will whisper, be still. In that stillness, your character is being formed. The chosen woman does not allow temporary pain to dictate her permanent identity. She understands that her emotions are visitors, not rulers. She feels deeply but responds wisely. She can stand in storms without lossy and BRN and then her composure because her stability no longer depends on circumstances, it depends on covenant. This emotional detachment does not make you indifferent, it makes you discerning. You begin to recognize what is worth your peace and what is not. You stop fighting unnecessary battles because you realize that not every conflict deserves your attention. The chosen woman guards her energy because she knows her spirit is carrying something holy. She refuses to waste her emotional strength on proving herself to those who cannot see her value. Her peace becomes her protection. Her silence becomes her strength, and and her restraint becomes her wisdom. God allows emotional detachment to grow in you by permitting situations that test your reactions. He will place you in environments that trigger old wounds just to show you how much you've grown. You will encounter familiar patterns but with a new perspective about the same words that used to offend you will now roll off your spirit like rain off stone. The same rejection that once shattered you will now sharpen you. This is the evidence of transformation, the proof that your emotions are no longer the masters of your destiny. Emotional detachment also teach honesty as trust. When you detach from the need to control everything, you begin to rest in divine timing. You stop forcing outcomes, manipulating circumstances, or chasing validation. You begin to understand that peace is not found in perfection, but in surrender. You learn to trust that God's no is not citative art and cruelty, it is protection. You begin to see that unanswered prayers are sometimes the highest form of mercy. Detachment frees you to move at the pace of heaven rather than the pressure of people. A woman who is emotionally detached in God's way is not hard-hearted. She is healed-hearted. Her strength is gentle, and her calmness is powerful. She listens more, speaks less, and discerns much. She does not rush to defend herself because she knows God is her vindication. She no longer chases closure because she has found completion in Christ. This kind of emotional detachment confuses the world because NERD, it cannot be faked. It is the fruit of intimacy with God. Only those who have walked through deep emotional valleys understand the serenity that comes after surrender. You will find that as you grow in this spiritual detachment, you start to love differently. You love without attachment, serve with and without expectation, and give without resentments. You can bless those who betray you and pray for those who misunderstand you, not because you are naive, but because you are free. You understand that holding on to offense is too heavy a burden for a heart chosen for destiny. Your forgiveness is not where the barrenness, it is wisdom. You forgive not to make others worthy, but to keep your own spirit pure. Detachment also brings clarity. When your emotions are no longer clouded by fear or offense, you begin to hear the voice of God more clearly. The noise of anxiety fades, and revelation flows with ease. God sees and entrusts secrets to the one who is not moved by every wave of emotion. You become an anchor in an unstable world, a vessel that carries peace wherever you go. This is why the enemy fights your emotions, because if he can control your feelings, he can delay your destiny. But when your emotions bow to your spirit, the enemy loses access to your peace. Understand this deeply. Detachment is not about caring less. It is about caring correctly. It is loving from a place of power, not dependency. It is being present without being possessed by circumstances. It is showing up fully in life while remaining internally free. The chosen woman learns to feel everything but remain rooted in what is eternal. She may weep, but she does not waver. She may bend, but she does not break. Her emotions serve her purpose, they no longer sabotage it. And when that transformation is complete, she becomes unstoppable and débordée. Nothing external can shake her inner world. Disappointment may visit, but it cannot stay. Fear may whisper, but it cannot dwell. Criticism may come, but it cannot corrupt. She walks through life clothed in serenity, armed with discernment, and crowned with divine strength. The same emotions that once enslaved her have become instruments of grace in her hands. And as she moves forward in that divine detachment, heaven looks down and says, now I can trust her with more. This is the power of emotional and spiritual detachment. It is freedom born from faith. It is strength hidden in Surin and Adair. It is the sign of a woman who no longer draws her confidence from the world, but from the one who holds the world in his hands. When you are chosen by God, the battles in your life will not be ordinary because your calling is not ordinary. The weight of your warfare reveals the weight of your destiny. The moment heaven places a mark upon you, hell takes notice. But understand this, your battles are not evidence of abandonment, they are confirmation of assignment. The enemy does not waste ammunition on those who pose no threat. He attacks the ones who carry something sacred, something power, and they are full. something that can change generations. So when the warfare intensifies, lift your head and remember you are chosen. And that is why the fire has found you. Every chosen woman will face invisible battles that no one else can see. She will smile in public, but wrestle in private. She will carry buandabardardans. She cannot explain, because the warfare is not around her, it is within her. The conflict is between her old identity and her divine assignment, between her human weakness and her spiritual strength. God allows this inner conflict to refine her discernment, to strip away dependency on emotions, and to teach her how to fight with faith instead of fear. The invisible war is not punishment, it is preparation. It is God's classroom, where the chosen are trained in silence. There will be moments when you will ask, why me? Why this battle? Why this pain? But heaven responds, because I can truce and guarantee you with it. God never wastes pain on the unprepared. Every trial you face has been permitted, not to destroy you, but to reveal what He placed within you. The chosen woman learns to see warfare as a mirror. It shows her where her faith still needs to grow, where her trust still trembles. And her surrender is still incomplete. And through every wave of attack, her roots go deeper, her discernment grows sharper, and her dependence on God becomes absolute. Invisible battles often come dressed in ordinary circumstances, relationships that stretch you, losses that break you, delays that test you, and seasons of silence that confuse you. But behind every situation is a divine sculptor shaping your soul. You are being trained in trust, patience, and perseverance. The battlefield of your life is the workshop of your spirit. God is not teaching you how to fight the world. He is teaching you how to conquer yourself. When you can master your inner reactions, you will command outer victory. The woman who can remain calm in chaos becomes unstoppable, because peace is her greatest weapon. Sometimes God will even allow the enemy to push you, just to show you how much power you already have on bar and V. You will be attacked, yet still standing. You will be misunderstood, yet still moving. You will be wounded, yet still worshiping. That is the mystery of divine protection. It doesn't always prevent the storm, but it always preserves you in the storm. When others crumble under pressure, you will rise with purpose. The fire that tried to consume you will instead illuminate you. You will come out of the battle carrying wisdom you could never have learned in comfort. The chosen woman's warfare often feels lonely because few can understand it. But solitude is sacred. God hides His strongest warriors in seasons of obscurity to strengthen them away from human applause. In the hidden place, you learn how to pray when no one is listening, how to believe when no one is encouraging you, and how to worship when nothing makes sense. That is where intimacy with God is forged, when you have nothing left but Him, and somehow He becomes enough. When you understand this, your perspective on pain begins to change. You stop asking God to remove the battle and start asking Him to reveal the lesson. You stop cursing the pressure and start thanking Him for the power it produces. Because every battle, seen or unseen, is carving out a deeper capacity within you to carry His presence. The greater the warfare, the greater the witness. Every scar becomes a story. Every tear becomes a testimony. And every setback becomes a setup for supernatural strength. The enemy's goal is to exhaust you, to make you doubt your calling, to make you question your worth. But what he doesn't realize is that every attack only drives you deeper into God's presence. The more he pushes, the stronger your prayer life becomes. The more he whispers lies, the louder your worship grows. The more he tries to bury you, the more you discover that you are a seed, not a casualty. What the enemy meant for evil, God is using for good, and every battle is becoming a bridge to your next breakthrough. When you finally come through the storm, something shifts inside you. You no longer fear the fire because you know who walks with you in it. You no longer run from warfare because you've learned that victory is not avoiding the fight, it's standing in peace while the battle rages. The chosen woman no longer trembles when the winds blow because she has learned that storms reveal strength. What once frightened her now fuels HPandirar. What once broke her now builds her. What once silenced her now anoints her voice with authority. So if you find yourself in a season of invisible warfare, do not despair. The fire is not meant to destroy you. It is meant to distinguish you. You are being shaped for something eternal. Every sleepless dart S night, F night, every hidden tear, every unseen prayer has been recorded by heaven. You may not understand the reason now, but soon you will stand in the light of victory and say, "It was good that I was afflicted, for it taught me to trust Him." The battle was never mean to break you. It was meant to reveal that you were unbreakable. Because when you are chosen, warfare becomes a sign that destiny is near. The shaking is proof that something is being birthed. The resistance is proof that you are moving forward. The enemy only fights what threatens his agenda. And you, beloved, are a threat. That is why the pressure has been so great, because the promise is even greater. Stand firm, breathe deep, keep believing. Heaven is fighting with you, even when you cannot see it. And when this battle ends, you will not just survive, you will emerge shining, stronger, wiser, and carrying the fragrance of divine victory. Protection comes through surrender. The world teaches that safety is found in control, but heaven teaches that true protection is found in release. The woman chosen by God learns that her greatest shield is not her strength, but her surrender. When you fight to hold everything together and the order, you end up exhausted and exposed. But when you let go and place it all in the hands of the Almighty, peace becomes your armor, and His presence becomes your refuge. The chosen woman understands that surrender is not defeat, it is divine strategy. It is the act of stepping out of anxiety and stepping and bar NG into alignment with the will of God. God protection does not always look like the absence of pain. Sometimes it looks like the presence of peace in the middle of it. The storm may not stop, but the chosen woman learns to sleep through it because she trusts the one who commands the wind. There are barely moments when she cries out for God to change her situation, but instead He changes her spirit. That change is the true miracle, because once your spirit is still, no storm can sink you. Surrender is not the loss of power, it is the transfer of control from your hands to God's hands. And His hands have never failed. There will come a season when God asks you to release things you thought you needed. He will ask you to lay down your plans, your expectations, even your timing. And at first it will feel like loss. You will wonder why He is taking you through valleys instead of lifting you to mountains. But every valley has a purpose. The valley is where you learn to depend, to listen, to wait. It is where you realize that protection is not found in predictable outcomes, but in divine orchestration. What you perceive as delay is often God clearing danger ahead. What feels like detour is div and par ein in direction. The woman who has surrendered walks differently. She no longer runs after people who leave because she trusts that absence is also a form of protection. She no longer forces closed doors because she knows God's snow guards her from destruction disguised as opportunity. She has learned that not every connection is covenant, not every path is purpose, and not every invitation is divine. Her surrender sharpens her discernment. She can sense when to move and when to wait, when to speak and when to stay silent. This calm wisdom is the fruit of trust. It is the mark of someone who knows that God sees what she cannot. Protection through surrender also means accepting that not everything requires your defense. When you are chosen, God becomes your advocate. You no longer need to explain yourself, prove yourself, or justify your journey. Those who misunderstand you will watch God vindicate and indicate you. Those who rejected you will witness the fruit of what they could not value. The chosen woman learns to be still, while God fights unseen battles on her behalf. The hands that surrender in prayer are the same hands that stay clean in victory. The woman who kneels before God can stand before anything. This kind of surrender brings supernatural rest. You stop striving for what can only be received. You stop manipulating outcomes and start trusting God's process. The chosen woman realizes that control is an illusion. It was never hers to begin with. Every breath, every moment, every DRT beat has always been sustained by grace. Once she surrenders, fear loses its grip. She no longer worries about the future because she knows who holds it. Her protection is not in predictability, but in presence. She walks through uncertainty with serenity because she knows she is surrounded. Even she cannot see it. Surrender also purifies desire. It transforms what you want into what God wills. The more you yield, the more your heart aligns with His. You stop asking for things that lead to distraction and start craving what deepens connection. Your prayers evolve from Lord, give me this burden, to Lord, make me ready for whatever you give. That shift is protection in disguise. For when God protects you, He doesn't just block attacks, He also redirects affection. He removes attachments that could destroy you and replaces them with purpose that sustains you. And yet, surrender is not always gentle. Sometimes God will strip away comfort to reveal character. He will allow disappointments to drive you into His arms. When you no longer have the strength to control, that is when He covers you completely. The moments you feel most vulnerable are often the moments heaven is closest. Even tear shed in surrender becomes a seed watered by grace. Every yes whispered in pain echoes in eternity. The woman who yields her will becomes the vessel through which God releases His own. Protection through surrender is a paradox. The more you yield, the stronger you become. The more you let the more you are lifted. The more you stop fighting for control, the more peace fights for you. The woman who surrenders walks under divine timing. She misses no opportunity meant for her and avoids every trap designed to harm her. Her steps are ordered even when her eyes cannot see the path. She lives with quiet confidence, knowing that whatever happens, she is held. So, if you find yourself in a place where everything feels uncertain, where nothing seems to make sense, and where you have no strength left to fight, do not resist. Rest, release, surrender. He same God who called you has already secured you. You do not need to strive for protection when you are already wrapped in His promises. The safest place you can ever be is not in control, it is in His will. And when you finally let go, you will discover that His hands were never too far. The battle will calm, the fear will fade, and your heart will hear His voice saying, "Be still, daughter, I've got you." That is the divine mystery of surrender. When you stop trying to save yourself, you finally realize you were never unprotected. You were always carried. You were always chosen. And the God who chose you is the same God who will keep you forever covered under His unshakable love. When all is said and done, there comes a sacred stillness in the soul of the woman who has walked through divine separation, emotional detachment, invisible battles, and complete surrender. She realizes that every trial was a classroom, every tear was a seed, and every silence was an invitation to to hear the voice of God more clearly. What once felt like rejection now reveals itself as redirection. What once looked like loss now shines as preparation. She stands transformed not because life became easier, but because she became anchored in something eternal. Everything that tried to break her only proved how unbreakable she truly was. Every storm that raged around her became a mirror reflecting the calm within her. She no longer fears what she cannot control because she trusts the one who controls all things. Her heart no longer clings to what is fleeting because it has found rest in what is forever. The woman chosen and protected by God carries a stillness that shakes the world. Her peace speaks louder than her pain. Her faith outweighs her fear, and her surrender shines brighter than her struggle. She has learned that divine separation was never about isolation. It was about elevation. Emotional detachment was not loss. It was liberation. The invisible battles were not punishment. They were preparation. And surrender was not weakness. It was her greatest weapon. She now walks with the quiet confidence of one who knows that Punter Evan backs her, angels guard her, and grace goes before her. This is the miracle of being chosen. You become the evidence of God's faithfulness. Your scars become your sermon. Your silence becomes your strength. And your life becomes a testimony that no weapon formed against you can prosper. You must sit it and why have been pressed, but not crushed, delayed, but never denied, hidden, but never forgotten. The world will look at you and see resilience, but heaven looks at you and sees revelation, a living proof of divine protection and purpose. So, stand firm in your anointing. Walk boldly in your calling. You are not who you were when the journey began. You are refined, renewed, and redefined by grace. Let the storms come. Let the winds blow. Nothing can move the one who has learned to rest in the will of God. For the woman chosen and protected by God, everything's set. Changes her heart, her vision, her peace, her power. And when she rises, she does not rise the same. She rises as a vessel of purpose, a voice of faith, and a living witness that when God chooses you, nothing can destroy you. You are chosen, you are covered, you are protected, and your story has only just begun.